Hey guys, I'm Charishma and this is Mike on Campus, where we go beyond classrooms. Before we start, I would like to give you a little information about who you're gonna meet today. She's a girl who studied in the same kind of college as most of us. She sat in the same placement blocks. She had the same fears, same pressure, and the same doubts of, am I enough? She overcame all of that, and here she is. She is the pride of our college. Today we have Ashika J. Nair with us. Okay, so 47 lakhs, final year in Japan. That's like a dream of every other engineering student. So you have achieved it. So how does it feel?
To be honest, it feels surreal. I never expected I would get such a package and in Japan that too. I was thinking, college average like 5, 6 LPA, but getting such a package was definitely a dream come true and I'm extremely grateful for it.
Yeah. So before we get into the main part, let's go back to the time where it all started, to the basics. So when you first entered this college and the beginning of the college life, how did it start? Were you always this sorted, like I want to do this, that, or all this happened in a flow?
To be honest, nothing was planned per se. Everything just happened as it went on. Every year, something new, something different. So to be honest, I was just winging it. No definite plan as such. End goal was certain, get a job. But there wasn't any structure or there wasn't any plan, which I regret now. But yeah, everything is fine now.
So there's this moment in everybody's life where things just start clicking, not in an overnight movie way, but it just happens, like a small change where you are like, okay, I need to lock in, I need to do this. So when was that point for you?
I think that was mainly in the beginning of the second year. I was trying to solve a coding question, and then of course basics I knew. This was a bit more advanced, but I was just trying to solve it and I just couldn't approach this problem at all. I was completely blank. So I was like, okay, fine, now what do I do? If this is the case, how do I go further? So I think that was because I was comparing myself to, the rest of the batchmates, and I was like, okay, fine, I need to do better. And then I think that was the time I tried. I was like, okay, I'll lock in from now. I will do something better than what I'm doing now.
Yeah, but so the comparison thing is what triggered it for you. Yeah, but then, usually when people start comparing themselves to others, they fall into this loophole where they get stuck and they feel like they cannot do anything further. So did you ever feel like that? Like you never felt stuck in such way?
I definitely did lots of times, whether it was just coding or something or whether it was just personal life. But there was this one thing, if I could take it as a failure, if that would be there, since it's Japanese placement, I would like to tell about the Japanese exam which I did. I tried my best, to be honest. I was just working very hard for it, for the entire exam. But then at the last moment, there is one section called listening section in which I'm a bit weak in. So I couldn't pass that section and I ultimately failed the exam. Just 2-3 marks, but that counts, right? That doesn't count. It's just pass or fail. I did fail by 2-3 marks, and that was a very bad point in life for me. I was very, very sad. And then that point I was like, okay, fine, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I should just stop with the Japanese as a whole. Maybe I should, all these thoughts like, maybe I'm not for it. Maybe I'm not for engineering also. All these thoughts were there that time. This was, I don't know, I think in the third year or something when I went to write exam. But that was definitely a very low point.
So how did you tackle this? Like all these things, when you see that, when you feel like people are ahead of you and you also face this small setbacks in life. So how do you overcome this? Like usually people they're like, okay, give up, fine. So how did you tackle that?
There was nothing particular per se which happened and I was like, okay, fine, now I have to make it better, I have to do better. It was just small things, you going to class and then getting good marks. They were like, fine, I can do this.
Yeah.
and then solving coding questions and then passing all the test cases. That was something.
Yeah.
And then again starting Japanese from the basics, and then building a strong foundation, and then starting Japanese once more, and then being a bit more confident in my skills. I think
Yeah.
that's what happened. There wasn't any one particular per se.
Okay, so you spoke about lead code. That's where it all started. That moment of like, I want to do something. Like, so, like, is lead code a myth, or is it actually, how much it helped you? Like,
For me personally, I didn't give much importance to lead code. It's just my
Yeah.
specific experience. I didn't give much importance to lead code, but I think lead code is definitely a good tool to practice for the coding round in during placements. Other than that, I don't have much say in it.
So, what do you say? Like, there are people who do not like it, and there are people who are following this internet myth of solving like maybe 150 problems per month or anything like that. So, and still feeling stuck, even after doing what the internet is saying to do, still they're stuck. Even with the numbers, they're like, they're still stuck and they're not getting what they want. So, what would you like to say to them?
I think practice definitely does make a person perfect. So solving so many lead code questions does give you a good exposure to how coding round is, how the company can ask questions, because sometimes it's like the specific question might be different, but the pattern to solve it will be the same.
Yeah.
Or at least similar. So it definitely gives you an edge to your batchmates, but 150, 200, 500 code questions, if you do have time, I think that is okay. Other than that, I don't know.
And I think it also depends on which path you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about like all the fests or like cultural events or hackathons, coding competitions, all that you have done throughout these 4 years. So what was your favorite one and like the best experience kind of thing? Let's first go to the technical one.
Hackathons definitely give you a good exposure to real life problems and to building real life applications. So that definitely helped. But I did participate in few competitions, few hackathons in college, and I think few outside college as well. My favorite would be when I joined the Medithon.
Okay.
It was in my first semester. So I was basically an amateur. I really had no idea what exactly a hackathon is. But it was just me and two of my friends, and then we went to it, and then we realized that we were competing with PhDs and doctors.
Okay.
It was all very professionals. And we were just in first semester and we really had no idea what to do. But it was mainly of project ideathon. You have to just describe an idea, and that was, and we did explain it pretty well, but that was not something which they were expecting.
Yeah.
At that point of time, I felt, oh my god, this is a big thing. So much humiliation happened. But now when I think of it, it was just simple. It was the judges were really good, and it was a really good exposure. I understood exactly what happens in real world. It was a good hackathon, yes.
So were you involved in cultural events?
Cultural events, yeah, definitely. I like to dance, so
Okay.
and I did participate in lots of dance competitions as well. Not much, just in college competitions, and also attire show and ramp walk and stuff. Other than that, just those department-wise competitions, I have participated.
So you believe that you should manage both, and like, do you think that in engineering you should only focus on technical stuffs that give a boost to your career, or you should also try out different things, kind of balance your college life?
I think you have to juggle all of them together, because if you just focus on technical aspect, then you will be burnout.
Yeah.
There is no way you won't be burnout. You need to have good hobbies as well in the side. Something which you look forward to. After a whole day of college, you're going home and you need something to look forward to. Having a good hobby is definitely a must. It's definitely a must, and participating in this cultural events and all will definitely help you, come out of that technical boredom as well.
What's your favorite one?
I I do like to dance as well, as I told before, but then I also like to try different things. I lose interest pretty much very quickly, so I need to try new things. I like to crochet as well as sewing, embroidery and stuff.
Yeah, on the same page when it comes to that.
Is it so?
Yeah, even I keep switching. Okay, so let's come back to our college. Okay, so what are the things that you studied in this course, and what are the things that you're using in this job? So, what are the things that you're applying from what you have studied?
Since my job didn't start yet, I don't know what is gonna happen after I go to Japan. But now, during my interview process as well as my internship, I think subjects, if you consider DBMS, OOPS and DSA, those three for my interview per se, of course it was important, but I think generally if you see all the interviews, those three things are very important, and of course web development as well.
So, kind of controversial, but what are the subjects that you think are like completely useless, but you have studied it either ways?
I don't think I can say this. Yeah, I don't think I can say this, but
Do you agree that there are few?
they might, but thing is no. It depends on the job position as well. So every other subject might be useful for you somewhere. Yeah, it might be useful for you somewhere.
Okay. So, Belk, that's the company that you're currently interning for. So, how did that come into picture?
It came through Zenken.
Yeah.
Zenken brings Japanese companies to a college, and they also give Japanese language training. So I took my Japanese language training when I was in my second year actually. So there were just 4 of us from second year, and then there were seniors. So it was just a small batch of 40 people or so. That's when I started learning Japanese, and then after that it was done. I didn't learn Japanese in my third year at all, but then that grew, and then there were so many people in third year as well. And then when the process started, Zenken sends application forms, and then that's how we apply for Japanese companies.
Okay, so we all know there is this myth behind the Japanese companies that they are very strict, disciplined about the time and all that. So is it a myth, or now that you have an experience, especially with the internship, so what would you like to say about that?
I think discipline, yeah, definitely. I think every company has that. Time management is also, it's really good, and it's a good skill to have also. But hierarchy, if you see, hierarchy is there in everything. I feel like every company, even Indian company as well, and also not even companies, in school, in class as well, we have hierarchy. So that's not something which is too intense, I would say. At least for my company, I don't feel like that. But hierarchy is there. That's definitely there. But it's not something which is too negative or something. It's just there as it's there in every other company. You need to go there and learn what is a hierarchical structure, but it's good.
Okay, you're kind of finding it well right now.
Sorry?
It's going good for you, right?
Yeah, it is going good.
So, when you gave the interview, so how was it? Like, how was the whole process? Were you nervous? And what and all stuff's happened in the interview? Kind of like basic idea.
It is a little different from Indian companies. First of all, we have an application run, and we fill it and we send it back to Zenken, and Zenken sends it to company, and that's how shortlisting happens. After shortlisting procedure, they send the students list, and after that, it depends on every other company how the procedure works. For me, there was a technical assignment, a technical round online, and then 2 offline rounds in Bangalore. So before giving the interview, I was nervous the night before. I was so nervous, I fell ill. I felt sick the day I had to give interview. I don't know if it was nervousness or if it was Bangalore weather, but somehow both together, I felt sick the day I had to give interview. But I did go. Me and my two friends were also there. We went together, and then before entering the room, till then I was nervous. But as soon as I opened the interview cabin, I don't know what happened. Everything just vanished away. I was very confident. Confident in myself. I didn't know I would get selected or not, but I was confident that I will give my best. That's how I went on and I did my part. Then after coming out, I got my second round the results, and I was shortlisted again. Then as I told, I was sick that day, so it was very bad. I was fully cold. My entire body was fully cold. But then again, second round, I went. I don't know what happens when I just opened the interview room. All those nervousness just vanishes away. I wasn't nervous for second one as well. I went and I tried my best. Of course, it wasn't the best. I gave it my all, and then finally, when I was selected, I was very happy. And they told that, of course, like there were 6 of us in last round, and 4 of us got selected, and they were like, they think that we are people who the company needs. That's what it. And then they took us in.
Okay, so did you guys have some aptitude round or something?
We didn't have aptitude round. We had technical assignment, which had coding rounds and DBMS, and we had designing also.
Oh,
With that time we had, and that's it. Then face-to-face technical rounds, online. Sorry.
okay. So, what would you like to say to the people who feel behind, like currently in engineering, and they are like, okay, we are stuck. We don't know what to do. They do not have a goal in their head. They don't know what to do. So, what would you like to tell to these people?
I think everyone has their own path. Everyone are in different phases of life. So when you compare yourself to the next person, it will do no good other than, demeaning yourself and reducing your self-confidence. So do not do that. Everyone has their own path. And if not now, then I'm pretty sure in future, whatever you're thinking will happen.
Okay, so finally we'll have a rapid fire. Starting with, so what is the most overrated thing that students do for placements?
I think focusing too much on subjects.
Okay. One subject from college that you actually use at home.
DBMS.
Code or building real projects. Where should a second year student actually spend their time?
Second year, I think lead coding.
Okay, so after that, you think you should go for building project?
Yeah, I do think.
What is the best decision that you made in all of these 4 years?
For me, I think learning Japanese.
Okay. Would you like to say something to our audience?
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and in whichever phase you are in your life, I would like to wish you guys all the best. Thank you.
So this was not just a conversation, but a reminder. So if you found something that stayed with you, then take it and do something about it this week. This is Mike on Campus. See you next time. Bye bye.